So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume, and where we left off, we were back on Novice, doing stuff with quality. So we have this setup of all of this stuff. So, we have productivity modules waiting on biter egg supply mostly. And we have quality modules that are just sort of cooking along. We've got like 2 of them to spare. We've made 90 total out of this machine, which is pretty nice. We're making our quality plastic. It's not going super great, but we are making some of it at least. Getting our red circuits and our blue circuits. So that's all going along. And let's see here. I believe I had noticed that our copper wire supply wasn't quite sufficient. Is that actually... yeah, so that's actually just going shorter than we need it to. So, we're going to need to figure out how to do something about that. Get more copper wire. And we're also going to need to figure out what's happening up here. Okay, that's fine. That was just a biter attack while drones were still coming along to repair stuff. Now, we have this artillery outpost up here, which is apparently getting absolutely hammered, but it's also clearing away this whole area of biters. So there goes another nest. And there we go. Apparently we're 1 shot short of that. That's fine. So that's going along nicely. This corner down here is apparently just barely out of wall range. Or no, actually we just don't have... is this connection? Oh, this power line isn't... That drone port isn't connected up to power, so we just need to pop that in and get a drone down there. That should connect this up to everything, and then we should be good to go. Okay, so we have productivity modules very, very slowly. We've made 13 of them so far. So they are doing their thing. And all the rest of this stuff is starting to run into resource constraints. So like this needs to go faster. No, it just needs more total processing. So yeah, we need to expand our systems even beyond all this. So, I guess we can throw more of these guys in to here, and that will help a little bit. So that should give us more per second or whatever. Alright. There's a laser turret that's been destroyed on this corner. That's a little bit unexpected. Alright, let's get some extra defenses in then. And that whole thing is going to want to be double walled with an extra laser turret or 2. And does this have artillery in it? It does. So we should be all clear on that front. And now this is all connected up to everything correctly, which which means it should be good to go. The bioflux is so hard to tell, like, if we have enough or not, because obviously it spoils every so often. But we do have another giant chunk coming back, so it's probably alright. So we're adding more of these biter nests in is something which we need to do. And the supply of plates and cables here are basically urgent at this point. That's basically like almost run out. The iron plates, we have a bit more of a buffer, but nowhere near enough. So, how do we do this? We need to get this belt to be used more efficiently, which I guess we could do it like we did here with the coal. That, I believe, wound up working pretty nicely. Though this one... yeah, so it's still a little bit awkward. So we are having some problems with some of these getting stuck. So we need to account for that. So let's add another one of these. And you need to just read from there. And if coal is greater than 2,000, then you can... okay, if coal is greater than 2,000... oh wait, no, I think it has to be less than 2,000? So let's think. So this... if this is less than 2,000, then it outputs that signal. But if it's greater than 2,000, then it doesn't. Okay. But we also need to, like... okay, maybe we can... and... so if red, that is greater than 2,000... and this is greater than 1. And, okay, no, I think that can be or, potentially. So now this, it sees that it's got a whole bunch of this stuff in it. So instead of letting the uncommons build up, it just sends them out. Okay, but now that's just saying waiting for more items. Oh, because now it's at the 1.9k mark. Okay, so that's probably fine then. So we need to paste those settings across to all of these. And then we need to connect the green circuits up to all of them as well. And hopefully that works out. And we just keep going like this. And really what we need is just like... we need to just redesign like basically the entire factory so that this works better. So if we had modular train-based systems, then we could expand all this super easily and it wouldn't be an issue. Alright, so these are now all connected up. And so are they working? Yeah, so those ones down there don't even get anything. So they're not the concern. So this one is building up a stack of uncommons, which it can then send out. This one is building up a stack of uncommons, which it can send out. It looks like most of these are doing that, which is fine as long as this isn't a problem, because we have plenty of space in these boxes most of the time. Alright, so that is that. Marginal improvements. So yeah, I think what we're getting to at this point is that we're going to need to rebuild a large chunk of factory, like mostly from scratch, in order to get to where we need to be for quality. So I'm wondering if we just leave this be for now. We are slowly going to get productivity modules, and it'll slow down a lot more as the inputs are going. So we're getting quality productivity modules very slowly, and I think this is limited to like 3 spares, which is probably fine. Okay, we lost a radar up here. That is a little bit scary. The biters came from this direction, but seems to have gone fine. Although we were getting attacked again before any of that stuff got repaired, which is a little bit spooky. Alright. So that is all good. Our science is 40 something a minute now, apparently, which is, I guess, not terrible. Could be a lot better for working on this worker robot speed. Probably because like one of these guys here isn't making it back. Let's see here. What are all you up to? No electromagnetic science packs. Yep, that makes sense. So, is Fulgora still making the science? It is. Pretty much full capacity, too. So that's all good. These, we've got another 14 of them lying around. So nothing to worry about too much there. This is mostly rebuilt at this point. Let's just, I guess, close that wall in. I don't know how that got unclosed, but you can pop that in. Alright, so now if we look back down at this, basically every little bit of copper that we get is now going out. That's probably the main limiting factor now, or at least close to it. We have a big red circuit buildup here, so it should be fine for a good while, but eventually that problem is going to trickle through and break everything. And then up here we have a similar thing. Plenty of red circuits built up in that box, but we have no biter eggs, which are doing their thing. So eventually this will keep going. Yeah, I think let's possibly just let this cook for a little bit and then do something else. Like if we go over to Fulgora, what do we need to do here? So this whole thing is irrelevant because we do not have nearly enough holmium to to do anything here. And is this actually working? No, because these are still going. So where... So this is the low density structure stuff down here. And it is running about as fast as it can. So let's just speed module these. We have speed module 2s, I guess, as an option. So there we go. Those go in, and this now hopefully does this whole thing faster. Although we might just need another whole thing here. So if we get you in, and then you can go like that, and then output to there. Then you two can both take the inputs from that, and you can be speed moduled, and hopefully that gets it all caught up. So I don't know if that's gonna be fast enough, but it'll at least be a lot faster. We need to get all these low density structures gone so that we can do the thing with them. So with the low density structures getting removed slightly more efficiently now, we should be able to get more holmium through here, which it looks like we do have a pretty big chunk built up there, if we can just get this through. And this is just continuing to go. Gosh, we even need like another one out of this. And is this one working 100%? It looks like it is close to it, at least. Alright, so that should just be alright. So back over on Novice, biters keep destroying things. This time it's over here. And yeah, I guess we should get an artillery outpost over there. So if we put it like here or so, that should cover plenty of space and also get us this iron outpost eventually when we want to. So I'm just going to click there. And then let's bring the Spidertrons up to help get this built a little bit quicker. And then in the meantime, we can start getting it set up without them. So that goes out to there. How's the quality going? Still 2 modules short. This is still looping. Everything else still looks fine. Alright, so our Spidertrons are stuck on a pond. Of course they are. Please go around the pond and make your way up this way. Spidertrons not the smartest at pathfinding. Gotta babysit them sometimes. Alright, so let's get another one of those out and bring that forwards. And now the Spidertrons are here. So any future building that we can do, we can have the Spidertrons do the work. And we're trying to get out to this area where I put that blueprint down. I guess if I just waited 5 more seconds, all this stuff could have gotten built by the Spidertrons, and then it would have been a whole lot faster. Okay. So Fulgora still seemingly not outputting meaningful amounts of science. It looks like we are getting ahead of the low density structures though. So that's great news. The science production is going a little bit. Nothing too exciting. Alright, so we need the Spidertrons to walk up to this general area and then get the drone ports built. And then most of that stuff can just be done there. Oh, I misaimed where we were going. That's fine. Drone port goes out there. Power lines come around this way. Spidertrons can run through and get most of this stuff built. Alright, so that is the bulk of the building. Now we just have to get this drone port in. There we go. Okay, so that drone port is powered. We just need these power lines down here to get power up to this area, and the Spidertrons still don't quite want to do that. But it should be just about done. Once this one gets built, there we go. So this is all powered up and should be able to defend itself against whatever biters try to retaliate. And now the gun is in and the ammo should be being delivered. So that is all set up. And apparently we're relatively close to the ammo. That was a relatively quick trip, I think. So now this clears out this area, and that should be nice and secure. Okay. We haven't made a singular productivity module since I last checked. And that is quite a bit concerning. So this, it does have several hundred biter eggs incoming, but I guess we're probably just going to need more than that. So our quality module production down here, let's limit that to 1 stack. We don't need more than that, especially with this other production line up here doing stuff. How many is this one made? So this one has made 129 modules. And this one down here has made 90, but it's been running for like half the time. So that is definitely a lot better. That is definitely a lot better. It's still just kind of slow. And now I think at this point we're pretty solidly behind on wires. Hopefully our red circuit reserves will last for a while. It looks like they should. So that should be able to get us a good number of productivity modules off of just this amount of wire production. It should be fine. And obviously it'll get more efficient as this goes in. And I guess we can also fit more of these in as well. So if we get all those set up, then that should be a whole giant chunk of extra quality modules in the wire setup, which is good. This area is a mess in terms of drone connection, just like incredibly inconsistent. Okay, I could have sworn something is going on here. This area got hit super hard, which, who knows? Yeah, we need a whole lot of stuff to get the quality going. We are making progress though. So slowly but surely we're just gonna get there. while we work on other stuff like clearing out all these biters so that we get attacked a lot less. And then that shot goes up there for some reason. So yeah, that should be all fine. These Spidertrons can just return to just sit in the main base for now. It's been at least long enough that this is pretty much secure, I think. But yeah, we need a lot of quality modules. We need a lot of productivity modules as well. Neither of those is coming along incredibly quickly. So, what can we do in the meantime while we just sort of wait for those to cook? I guess we can run down and increase our biter egg supply, because that's one of the things that we're going to need to be upgrading. So biter eggs are one of the limiting factors. They're the main limiting factor for the productivity modules right now. So if we just run our Spidertrons down here and get just a couple more of these guys attached up, then hopefully we can get more quality productivity modules going. Alright, so the Spidertrons are all the way down here. Now we just need them to run forwards a little bit to like this area and then win this fight against all these guys, which is apparently easier said than done. Okay, we managed to yoink all the nests, but they're also being attacked by worms from up here, which means we need to also fight all of those ones. Okay, it looks like the shields are mostly holding out. And okay, so that's better. Are we like out of rockets? We might be out of rockets or something. That guy is not shooting. Okay, so what we need to do now is get power poles running down to here and then use those to get lasers built in. So that should mostly defend us. Looks like the farthest one up there got free though. So let's just get all that set up. And then the Spidertrons should be able to run back a little bit and then forwards a bit more. Get rid of the last of this. And we're not going to be able to get all of these nests, although, okay, I guess just the fact that we target it even once means that they get the protected from automated shooting thing, which should be fine, I think, as long as we just have enough laser turrets in here that it isn't a problem, that we're just able to spawn camp them, basically. Okay, so that is mostly set up. Now we need to real quick get the rest of this in. So we need drone coverage down here, and actually urgently we need to get this loop. Alright, so get the Spidertrons back here because this needs to be built quickly. We need to get the bioflux supply down there. So this loop comes out, goes over this way, and all the way over this way. And it looks like we might have to dismantle some of that and rebuild it so that the Spidertrons will do their job. then we run this belt down and into all of these. But we need to have the Spidertrons do it, which means we need to dismantle and rebuild it again. So that goes in. That gets built. And then we need this to go all the way down to here. Like that. Okay, the Bioflux is on the way. We don't have the inserters or the power poles in yet. And that isn't connected up properly. We need these to get built. And they are not getting built. We don't have that much time to do it. Are you full of junk? Yes, you are. Okay, let's throw out... Let's see. Clear that out so that you can do whatever it is you need to do with that. Yeah, this guy just doesn't quite have enough room. So the combinators and everything, we definitely don't need more than a full stack of those. Okay, so now that is connected in. Wait, did I just get you marked for deconstruction? Why are you marked for deconstruction? That's incredibly annoying. Can I undo that? Is there any convenient way to undo that? Apparently not. Okay, that's frustrating. How do... There's got to be a way, right? Maybe if I just like have it rebuild a Spidertron in that space? No, apparently not. Okay, so this is not going super well. But at least the drones are showing up. It's going to be like right on the edge of whether this gets built fast enough. Really just hope that it is built fast enough. And no, it looks like these are all going to pop pretty much right now. Alright, so let's get you attached in. We have a long thing there. So now we're going to have to deal with all of this. And Spidertron's going to have to go back. So what we need to do is just set up a rocket turret with a requester chest for the capture bot robots, and then get that all built up. And then we need to finish designating all of this so that we don't get just completely spoiled bioflux on the belts, which is already starting to happen. So this loop needs to finish. So you just go up like that and into there. Alright, so this should work out eventually. It's gonna take a little bit for all this stuff to get built. But eventually, this rocket turret will get built. It'll get its launchers, and then it'll recapture these. Pretty sure I built it at a good distance for that. Alright, so that is all going in now. And all this stuff is getting built. This Spidertron is slowly getting dismantled, and we're going to have to rebuild it in like 5 seconds. Alright, so that... we're just like a couple belts short. So yeah, now this is mostly in. Apparently that needed a belt, which just didn't get placed. We're going to get that in. And then this has its bots requested. And okay, there's apparently just some worms down there. So do you have rockets now again? I really hope so. So you just deal with all of that and then run back up to reload again. And okay, so we're gonna need this whole area to just be defended. I don't know, that's way more lasers than it needs, but it's fine. And then we also wall it off. And let's get a couple more lasers in this area as well, because this is where all these guys are. And this one poor drone port is handling every drone on the planet, stopping at it to recharge. So hopefully that just finishes up soon. I guess this whole line is very, very busy with drones. Yeah, it is. So is there like... technically we could give this tool belts, but we don't really have the inventory space for it. The grid space for it. Okay. So this Spidertron is almost disassembled. And the rocket turret, I thought it would have gotten down here by now. Just because of the charging is so awful in this area. Yeah, we probably just need to like add an entire additional chain of places to charge. Alright. We've done it. We've gotten... these guys are now set to recapture. So that should be all under control. And then we just need to build belts out. And that belt goes down like that to collect up all the biter eggs. And then is going to be running up this way for connecting into the rest of this stuff. So you just go into there, and that will eventually get built up and be all good. So now we need like another drone port out this way, I think, actually. You can squeeze one in there and have it be fine. Give you a power pole just so you're definitely connected up. And then we get this wall connects across. And did I leave enough space? I did. So a couple more laser turrets go into there. And then this wraps around that way. It doesn't have to go all the way back, but just something like that. And then all of these laser turrets get powered up. There we go. So this should basically do the trick once it gets fully built, which is going to take a while. But the bioflux is flowing properly to everything, so that's all good. Doesn't seem like there's huge problems with anything down here. Just take out some of these that aren't powered since they wouldn't be doing anything anyways. I think at Aquilo there's a way of like picking up and moving the captured biter nests. So we definitely want to get around to doing that once we go to Aquilo, because that would be obviously like a 1,000 times more convenient than doing it this way. Okay. I'm not sure if I remember to get those connections in, but just in case I didn't, let's put them in anyways. Alright, now this whole area has been marked, so we can build this out. And this area up here is just these two spawners that we're just sort of spawn camping at this point, which is fine. Alright, so this is all going. There are a whole bunch more worms over there which are very angry. We've finished worker robot speed 20 billion. Let's click on research Aquilo. Might be doing that this stream. Who knows? Might put it off till next stream or something. But it should be fine. Alright, so how close is this to getting built up? Looks like most of this stuff is showing up. And it looks like the crazy drone traffic has mostly subsided, so it should be quicker. Also, the drones are physically faster now, which is nice. So all of this stuff goes in. And then they all stop to charge at this one drone port. They all stop to charge at the same drone port. Okay, apparently that isn't powered up. And that isn't powered up. And probably that one isn't powered up either. So let's get all those in. Hopefully... Oh, the biter eggs? It looks like they don't start to spoil until they've left the spawner. That's interesting. I don't know if that's actually how that works or not. But if it is, that's good to know. Because there's definitely no spoilage meter there. If that is how that works, we could do some cool stuff with that, like holding them up until we build up a sufficient amount. Doesn't the Factorio explain that? I don't know, maybe? Let's see here. Intermediate products made in these. And it doesn't say anything about like when exactly they start spoiling. So I don't know. Maybe it says that. Maybe the tips and tricks. Where does it say anything about those? Anywhere in here? Spoilables. It doesn't. Who knows? Yeah, I don't see anything about it. But if it is true, pretty neat. And regardless of whether it's true or not, it shouldn't really matter because they're going to spend more time on belts than they do in the spawners. So now the question becomes, are these belts physically fast enough? Like this whole giant row of belts and then getting picked up by the drones. Is that physically fast enough to keep up? And also, I think that needs to be a bulk inserter. Just glancing at it like that. That looks suspicious. So that hopefully will provide us enough. And how is this doing? This is taking a lot of damage, but it hasn't quite been destroyed yet. Still hanging in there. And it looks like the repairs are here. So that's all good. It's got pretty low, all the way down to the yellows. But it's back now. And that is shooting at targets outside of our pollution cloud, which means that it should be basically all sorted out as far as keeping the main factory secure. Shouldn't have anything to worry about with that. So that's set up. Then back down here on the exact opposite side, this is now just sort of going. It looks like they wind up on different sides of the belt somehow. So we can tell that we are now getting this full supply of biter eggs into the drone network. So now we scroll back over to this area. And this does seem somewhat more active than it's been. And we have 4 productivity modules to spare. Now, how much all the rest of this is going? Our coal supply looks a little bit sketch. We don't have any spare quality modules here. Why do we not, actually? So you don't have any module 2s, you don't have any module 1s, you don't have any green circuits. So this is short on wire mostly. So yeah, this is short on wires, which is causing problems. So yeah, we're now at the point where we're not getting enough quality modules because of this wire shortage. And that is something which is relatively annoying to fix, since this is already, it's already like using a full belt-ish as it is. So I think we're just gonna leave that for now. Say that that is the way it is. And hopefully with our extra biter eggs, we should get more productivity modules. And then we can eventually go to Aquilo, which we are currently not doing. So why is research jammed now? Still the electromagnetic science packs. Is there something wrong on Filgora? Everything is being sorted out correctly. So it is just that this one thing producing 0.79 science per second is just like a pretty big limiting factor. And you are also occasionally short on holmium solution. So that's not ideal either. Let's see, I think we probably have enough at this point that we can just, let's see, if we just like disconnect that, I think we have enough. Actually, that's a confusing place to disconnect it. Let's disconnect that specifically. So now the holmium can build up. Holmium can build up, and it will mostly go this way, which should get this going ever so slightly faster. We don't need more of the ultra quality holmium plates at the moment. So now this can just keep going, making our science, and that's all good. So, back over on Novice. Has this like dramatically changed in the past 5 seconds? No, we're still only at 4 extras. So that is still enough to like get a machine upgraded, which I guess because of the wire shortages should probably be you. So you get to be higher productivity, which should give us a little bit more green circuits. And that is that. Alright, how's Gleba doing? Just a quick check in. We've got Bioflux there. We don't have more Bioflux there. I hope we aren't short on Bioflux production. What's going on here? Item ingredient shortage of jelly. It's not constant, but it is definitely a thing. So we need more jelly, which it looks like we have enough jelly nuts. So we just need more of these guys. So I mean, this can definitely store more machines, or it can even take... Why is this not taking beacons at the moment? I know at one point we were dealing with like an overflow of jelly, but I think that's mostly been solved at this point. So let's just put like a couple beacons in, and I think this place still uses module 2s. So let's just get those in, get a little bit more jelly through. Hopefully that will help. Although, oh, I see the problem actually. The problem is our jelly nut seed disposal is not working at all. So we take them out and we put them into this box, and that is all we do with them. So we need to get rid of the contents of this box, which we should just burn them, right? So we just pop a heater in there and pop a bulk inserter there, and let's set that to be enabled, disabled if jelly nut seeds are greater than 300. So we have a bit of a buffer, but we do get rid of the excess seeds. And this apparently is not very fast at burning them, which is a bit of a concern. But it should get there eventually. Like, we don't produce seeds super fast, right? So yeah, this is already basically solved. Now our jelly supply and bioflux supply can go back up. Also, how is this place doing in terms of like being attacked? It looks like we're fine. Okay, so back over to Novice. Still producing the occasional wire, but now we are purely just going as fast as we can at this point. There's nothing we can do about that. And we do have one spare module in there. And it looks like we might need... a couple more of these guys to process the biter eggs. We cannot have those piling up. So let's get all of that in. And get that assigned. And I don't know where this is getting built from, so it might take a while to get there. But yeah, we definitely need a couple more of these guys. So now the belts go in to attach everything up. Hopefully the modules will be in by the time they show up. The modules shouldn't be that far away, right? So it should be just any second now. We might need even more than these 3. It would be annoying. But we might... Adding just 3 more on might not be good enough. So let's get another couple built up just in case. And these ones can get their modules like so. And we give them a little bit of time to start up. And then we put the belt in. So we know that that happens last. Alright, looks like things are back under control, at least temporarily. Obviously, that's partially just because of the new machines, so I don't know if they'll be able to keep that stable. So let's get our power lines in there. Get all those connected up. And yeah, we don't have quite enough productivity modules or quality modules for these, but that should be fine since they're like at the end of the row. They should not run as frequently, so I don't really care that much. Very, very few are even going to get back here, I think. Just sort of an overflow protection rather than anything else. Alright, so now this is going again. And hopefully we can get more biter eggs out of it. Science still comes in bursts. We'll get there eventually. Where are these losses happening? Down at this corner. And they're probably like coming from these nests here, which are by my biter egg collection area, so I can't really, I don't necessarily want to destroy that because I might want to just capture it. But who knows? It should still be fine if we just double wall that corner. And I feel like I've done this already, but just add in a couple more laser turrets to the area. It should be plenty secure, at least for the time being. Alright, so quality still going up. The biter egg situation is fully under control. We're up to 2 spare productivity modules. So that's cool. Fulgora is doing its best to make all the science it can. Not very quick though. We've got another 430 science incoming, which should translate to like 800 science through the biolabs. So we're probably going to need another wave after this one. Yeah, there's so much redesign that needs to be done. Like, basically every planet at this point is just like barely functional. So I just want to get like the last few new things techs. Like, I don't know exactly what Aquilo has, but legendary quality is one of them, I know. And I think there's like a special chemical plant or something. There's probably some other stuff too. But basically the plan is, once I have all of the techs which add like new interesting things in, then I can go back and rebuild everything to not be terrible. Because right now it's all just kind of painful. So we're just going to have to limp along until we get to the point where we rebuild this. And let's see here. Is transport platform, like, is this going to be able to get us to Aquilo? It feels like this might not be hyper secure. Yeah, I don't know if we're... Can we check, actually? Like, we can't check that. We can't check that until later. So I don't know if we need to, like, add rockets or something to get safely through space to Aquilo. But it should be fine, right? I mean, these platforms that I have here are good enough. Okay, what I should do is just get another one of these big ones, like, because this is relatively fast, right? So it can make the return trip quickly. So let's just copy you entirely. Add a new space platform, which is going to be called Aquilo Support over Novice. And then start getting that new space platform built up while we wait for our research to go through. And hopefully it can get built up in time, and also hopefully it will be secure enough. I guess that's something that we'll have to find out. Also, speaking of something that we have to find out, this is definitely just not doing great. Alright, so now we have this. We're going to paste that in. So this is backlogging like crazy. And this one bulk inserter is clearly not enough. I mean, I guess it's not too far, but it's also clearly not enough. So let's add you, and actually we can expand that along and turn this into a whole row of 4. And okay, so you need space platform foundations. Okay, no, you need to go back to Novice to collect your space platform foundations so that they can be sent up. Which, I don't know why it isn't sending them up. I guess it's just busy on the other parts. It's just busy making the new factory thing. So hopefully this does get... I mean, we just need a little bit of foundation so that we can get this fixed. And then we'll be all fine. In the meantime, I guess we have to, like, dismantle... No, we can't even because we need... Wait, I know what we can do. We can, like, scavenge some foundation from this corner. So if we take all that out, there we go. Problem solved. Now we have 4 of these guys outputting. So that should be able to keep these belts at least a lot clearer than they were previously. Who knows if they'll be able to keep up perfectly, but now we should be doing a lot better. Yeah, so this is already a dramatic improvement. And there we go. And there's some stuff which I wish we could, like, borrow from the blue circuit production area. But just the general purpose thing here should also be fine. We've got 3 Vulcanist supports. And this one's got plenty of coal. These all seem to be working just fine. Okay, why is transport platform just over Vulcanist? Just sitting there forever? I have no idea. Probably not important. We still only have 2 of these. The return rate on these spider eggs is quite bad. Could certainly be a lot better. And then these ones down here are missing their green circuits, which is fine. Making a whole bunch of blue circuits unnecessarily. So I guess eventually this will be backed up and this will start producing better. Just sort of hit an awkward spot where it's building up something that it doesn't need necessarily. Speaking of which, we now have a supply of plastic, which is cool. Copper is no good. The iron might be doing better because of the copper shortages, but it is still very slowly decreasing over time. So that's something we're going to need to pay attention to. Bioflux looks like it's fine still. So that looks fine. The new platform is getting built. And the old platforms are still running. How much do you need? You need another 50. You need another 100 rockets worth of foundations. And then a couple other assorted things. And is our rocket launch... These are all working fine, right? We've got thousands of rocket fuel, thousands of density structures, thousands of processing units. Yeah, so that's all good. In fact, it's good enough that we can probably just afford to expand this. So let's just copy-paste that and just find some free space like this old mine. Actually, we can just take those miners out and then paste in like a couple of these. So we just get that going. Apparently there was still a tiny bit of coal in there, but not worth doing anything about. Alright, and then apparently we need drone ports here because why would the drone coverage ever be good? So that gets built up. And so we can add a couple more of these guys in once all of this stuff gets dismantled and everything. And then we can have a couple more rocket launches. The planet has almost been discovered. We just apparently need one more delivery from Fulgora, which seems like it possibly isn't happening. Oh wait, no, it is on the way. Very good. So that is on the way. These guys are building their new rockets. So hopefully that will get the rockets launching a bit faster. And boy, this is going to be... It's going to be so cool once I expand all of this to be, like, even remotely coherent. Okay, so we have plenty of uranium fuel, so that's not a concern. Just realized it's been a while since I've checked that, so I decided to make sure nothing wacky was happening there. We're still a couple quality modules short of that. We're up to 4 productivity modules. We'd love to see it. That's like almost enough to do something, potentially. Okay, so then this obviously doesn't need to go to Fulgora. And it doesn't need to stop there. You are going to get those settings, and then so you just stay here, and then just wait until we get planet discovery to go to Aquilo. Alright, so that is all doing its thing. Apparently we're getting biter attacks here. Which... where are they coming from? Up here, I guess? I guess this is an area which makes sense for biters to be attacking from. It's not really a concern because this place is relatively well defended. It's got the annoying walls and everything. So these are all set to automatic request, and they have their inserters. So until we wind up running out of something, we should be able to launch pretty dang quickly. Get this up and running as fast as possible. It's kind of funny that we wound up 100 short of that. Alright, so this is now on its way. It's got its electromagnetic science packs. Another 600 of those should be plenty. Alright, all the way down here. This is still doing its thing where it just spawn camps those. It also apparently doesn't have drone coverage up there to get these laser turrets operational, so let's just pop a drone port up there just so that we have it. Alright, so that's all set up. Labora support is on its way back. How are these mines doing? The iron mine is sitting quietly. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? All of these are waiting at either destinations or other sources, so that is a good thing. This one, you are filled up and all the destinations are full, so that's good. Got plenty of crude oil. Copper is getting loaded up right now. And this copper mine is actually very old and sort of terrible. But it was completely filled up before the train showed, so that's probably a good sign as well. I have no idea where we're getting our stone from. It's not this, whatever this is. That was iron. Yeah, okay, this is the stone mine, and it is totally inactive. So everything looks good on that front. Rockets are still launching pretty much continually at this point. We have enough launch capacity that there's always something going up. And this is slowly making its way through. We've got 200 on the way. That's like 4 rockets worth. Pretty good. Pretty good as far as getting stuff built fast is concerned. So that's getting built. So as far as all the types of science which aren't from off-planet, they all look fine. So none of them are a meaningful bottleneck. This one is producing, but we have like 8,000 to spare. Not exactly worried about that. I guess, for the sake of just having big stockpiles, let's increase that a little bit. I don't know why this is even filling still. Like, I don't think we're using any of this stuff for science, are we? Oh, I see. This thing in particular wasn't set to spoilage properly, so it was just like constantly sending stuff through, just completely pointlessly. Okay, so where does the agricultural science in here come from? It comes from there. Let's disable that so that we don't have any agricultural science getting wasted in this area. Which is probably going to happen anyways because it's not the bottleneck. But just in case. Okay, we've finished Planetary Discovery Aquilo. So, we unlock some things like iced platforms, which is a stable floating platform of ice, ammonia rocket fuel, solid fuel, and alright, that all seems fine. Let's look at the tips and tricks. It's a freezing wasteland with ammonia oceans. And solar panels are virtually impossible. And drones are weaker. It has crude oil, but we could end up stranded without enough support from other planets. That's fun. I mean, it shouldn't be a problem, really. And we have to fill oceans with ice platforms and concrete. Alright, that seems like it's going to be a wee bit complicated. Now, as far as getting out there, there are big asteroids, which I believe, like, here, it only goes up to medium. So, yeah, we have big asteroids, which get very common in some of these places. So that's going to be fun. We might need Aquilo support to actually just be designed differently. So we might need like rocket production or something up here. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully this is enough. I guess I can check Factoripedia. Space. Big asteroid. Physical. Okay, that is crazy resistances to everything except explosion. So yeah, I think we are going to need... We're going to need to redesign this. Now the good news is that we have a whole bunch of foundation up here, so we don't really need to worry too much about getting all that stuff sent up. The bad news is that this design is probably not going to work. So we need... Because we need to add an entirely different type of turret onto the outer shell. We need to have rocket turrets, and we might still need gun turrets to just clean up the smaller ones more efficiently. So that's going to be a bit of a difficult process. So I guess we start by figuring out what we do with all this. So, oh, another thing is solar panels are probably terrible out there. Like, solar power in atmosphere 1%, which it's going to be better in space, but still 60% in space versus much higher numbers everywhere else. So I think we might need to do nuclear power for this, which shouldn't be like terribly difficult, I don't think. We have those in the blue circuit set up, and it was kind of easy. We just need to get steam, import the fuel cells, and then you're just sort of good to go. But it is going to be a whole process. And yeah, so let's... Do we just have to dismantle all of this just immediately, basically? Because we definitely can't use it like it is. So I guess the engine portion is fine, but like everything feeding into it is very much not. So this, I don't even know what I was doing when I designed this. This is very badly designed. So we can fix that. Then this feeds the ammo production, but we also need... Let's see, if we want to get explosive rockets, we need a whole bunch of plates and explosives. And explosives are coal, sulfur, and water, so we're going to need all of those things. Alright. So this, we're going to have to design better. I don't know how much of this space we're going to actually need because we're not doing solar panels for this necessarily, at least not quite this many. So it'll be a lot more space efficient that way. Alright, let's just dismantle that whole section because it's just like objectively badly designed. And so we want the hub to still be intact. We want, because we need the cargo bays to store all the stuff. We want all of the engines to be intact because those are still useful. We don't need this gigantic mess of belts. So we're gonna take most of this stuff out. Don't know what I'm cooking with this. Alright, so that goes away. And that can probably just become a regular belt there. A lot of this is like recycling excess stuff, which we don't need. This area down here, we're going to redesign later. Okay, so this whole area down here is just recycling. And we're going to, again, just remove that because I don't know that this is where that's going to need to be. And then this is all just feeding into various other production lines. I want to just wind up with nothing but the engines, basically. So those foundries can go away and all their associated stuff. So all of this goes away, and so does that. Okay, so we have this is feeding the engines directly with ore and calcite. There was this splitter here splits the calcite up. And I think most everything past this point isn't strictly engine related. I mean, it's probably not useless, but we're just going to have to redesign all this belt work anyways. These things are going to be very different. Alright, so let's take all of this stuff out. All of these random belts down here as well. And now, let's see. So we have iron ore going in that belt, calcite going in that belt. This is the ice cubes, and this is the carbon. So I guess we can get that in. So this right here is basically the engine block. We just put the resources into that, and then it works. So, step one is getting the resources into that. So we have most of the exterior built up already. We should be able to do this within this space if we just, like, go faster. Okay, yeah, some of this stuff is gonna... I don't know why that's like that. And that as well. Presumably it worked in the original version, but who knows what was going on with that. Alright, so we have... This is the input belt. So we need a couple rows of crushers. So we have the ice cubes filtered out here. Is that actually how we want to do this? Filtering out individual things? Okay, yeah, I don't think that's how we want to do this at all. So we have we have this going down to here. And then we have a couple things that we need to crush these. First, we need some general purpose things for ice cubes, carbon, iron ore, and calcite. And then we need specifically things for... We need more ice cubes for the power plants on here. And we need a whole bunch of stuff for the explosives. We made both coal and sulfur on blue circuits. How did that work? So the sulfur came from... Sulfur is just a direct output of this. So that's convenient. And then the coal is this whole process with just sulfur, carbon, and water. So that should be relatively easy, actually. We're not doing the hard part here, except for this. So yeah, we just need to do that. I clicked on the wrong thing. So we need a whole bunch of sulfur, a whole bunch of iron plates, and a little bit of everything else. So let's see if we can actually just have these crushers go to various different locations. So if we have like a row of crushers down here that just feeds into the engine block, for example, that could be useful. So you go in there, do metallic asteroid crushing, and you would feed into this belt and give us our iron. And that would be more than enough iron because we have a couple productivity bonuses on these. So you provide the iron for this, and that's easy enough. But we have to get all of these provided, so then we also need a chunk of calcite. And we need all of these to have access to the belt of resources, which is up here. And it's either... It's going to be one single sushi belt of resources, I think, because that's normally how I do this. So how do we get the outputs balanced properly? Okay, let's give it a little bit more space. So if we go, like, over here, maybe. You are metallic asteroid crushing. You are carbonic asteroid crushing. You are oxide asteroid crushing. So for the carbonic ones, it's fine to just be carbon. We need calcite as well from the oxide ones for this step. So, you make 15 iron ore. That's much more than enough. You make 7.5 carbon. That is much more than enough. You make 0.9 ice, 0.6 calcite. Not quite enough. And how much calcite was it? Like 0.8-ish. So I guess we just need a second one of these. And apparently the total number of crushers we've sent up isn't that high, so that's fine. So we have 2 of those, 1 each of these. And they would be fed in from a belt here somehow. And then we just need to feed all of these inputs properly. And we also need to worry about their recycling outputs. So they will occasionally produce some of these guys. And apparently, occasionally is actually pretty frequently now. It's like a significant chunk of the time for these two. So, we need you to just output your iron belt and just go into there. The carbon belt has to go all the way to the other edge. And the calcite and ice belts have to go in the middle, so let's actually swap those around. So you go down like that. And those are probably going to have to be stack inserters or something. Alright, so then the calcite and ice go out here. And we need to first merge them up like this, and then send them in. And then these ones need to merge up like this, and then go into there. And then you can merge into there or so, something like that. And then what we need to do is we need each of these to have an output priority right, output priority left. So then these, the excess, if there is any, then comes down here, merges up. Actually, let's just have it be a merger. Merges up, and then goes over to our giant row of sending things into space. So that is all good, and we just need to get these filtered properly, and then probably make them stack inserters just in case, although the numbers are very small, so it shouldn't realistically matter, but we have stack inserters, might as well use them. So that is the iron ore. This one goes here. This is the calcite. So where are you? Calcite, calcite, calcite. There it is. So you are calcite, and you are ice. And then we get those settings pasted across, and you are carbon. There we go. Now for the input side, we get that feeding all these. And then we have this, which comes down to get the asteroid outputs. So we're going to put long-handled inserters with filters and metallic asteroid chunks and oxide asteroid chunks, and carbonic asteroid chunks. So those then go out there. Then they can input priority that side so that all of this output can get dealt with. And then we just loop this back around to, I don't know, wherever it's going. Which I guess we can actually use this giant loop which already exists. So we put our asteroids in here, and then we can start moving. So the next thing we need is the nuclear power plant. So let's get that in. And I don't know how much power we're going to need, but let's make it a small one, probably. So probably just 2 side by side. Okay, and is that a good spot to put it? Probably not, but it'll at least be a start. for getting an idea of how much space we need and everything. Alright, so we get an input belt of fuel cells, which is going to be coming from the hub. We have an output belt of fuel rods, which are going to be going to the hub. And actually, I think I want these to be facing like that. And then, so it would look something like that and that. Alright, filter that. Filter that to be uranium fuel cells only. And why did you pick up crushers? Alright, so then we have to dismantle all that. And I just realized I put that on the wrong one. Okay, of course I have. There go a bunch of random gun turrets. Because why not? Alright, so then this one just flips around and doesn't need to be filtered or anything. Because it's just going to be taking the fuel rods back. So then those get set up. And then they output. So that should generate heat for us. Then the next step is to introduce that heat to some water to make steam, which we get heat exchangers for. And let's just get one of those in. This, let's see, the neighbor bonus is like 50%, right? We can just check on novice. Although I don't know if we have any with exactly one neighbor. So let's see. This one has 2 neighbors. The neighbor bonus is 200% on you. And apparently that gets improved with quality. So if we get quality nuclear reactors, we can get some crazy power probably. But we're not going to deal with that right now. So one neighbor, if 2 neighbor bonuses is 200%, one neighbor bonus should be 100%. So this is going to be, what, 80 megawatts each for 160 total, which means that we need 16 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we can copy that. And let's see, how do we actually want to handle the heat distribution for this? And this should be fine, right? So then we get our heat pipes in. They just go like that, although this should be able to fit in more precisely. So we take that out, we paste you in like that. Yeah, that's the right spacing. So then that heat pipe feeds both of those, and it comes down. Don't want it to go directly by those water outputs. Give them room to go underground or something. Okay, and then we run the heat pipe all the way up to there. And we get these guys connected up. And those ones connected up. Move that spare. Alright, so now we get the steam pipes connected up and the water pipe connected up. So now we put water in here, we get steam out here. And how much steam is that? It's going to be a lot. So next step is the steam turbines themselves, which can just go in like any old spot. So these ones take 60 per second, which means it's approximately 2 of these per one of those. And we had 16 of these, which means we need 32 of these. But it's slightly fewer than that because these are 60. So if we just go with 30, because this is 103 output, 2 of these are 120. So if we just go with like a 5x6 block, something like this. So this is 5x5. Alright, let's do the math. 60 times 5 is 300. Times 5 is 1500. So this block can deal with 1500 steam. 16 of these machines making 103 each is 1600-ish. A little bit more than 1600. So if we just add like another row there, and that should be all the steam dealt with. So then that pipe connects up, and we just need to then connect the steam across to there. Alright. So this is quite likely to be insane overkill for what we have here. But it should mean we don't need all or most of these solar panels, and they can just be like either backup, or we can just clear them out to make space for building things. Okay. So, next thing we need for a nuclear reactor is we need water. We have 16 of these, 10.3 water each. We need 16-ish. Oops, we need 160-ish water production. So, let's get a chemical plant in. And the water is all connected up to here, right? So, chemical plant goes there. Ice melting. So you make 20. We need 100 and... How much did I say we needed? 160-ish. So we need like 10 of these, basically. Now we do have a lot of freedom over where exactly we put them, because of how all the spacing works. Okay, let's get this out of here, because that is not necessary. Although we still do want to leave this ammo splitting thing in there. So that's where the ammo is eventually going to wind up, but as long as we leave a little bit of space for it to get there, it should be fine. Okay, so let's build our chemical plants. Where would be most convenient? Actually, down here would be a lot easier than up there. So we connect these up. Actually, the heat pipe does make it a little bit awkward, because these all have to go down to there, and then they're in the way of this. No, yeah, we have this area connected up already. We're going to connect into that, but we don't need to do it super directly. We can have the water pipe go a decent distance, because it's also going to be used for coal production for the explosives. So yeah, we can actually just have the water over here, maybe. Alright, so the water can be over here in this space, and you're going to be ice melting. And we'll just add a whole bunch of you in. So this is 20, 40, 60, 80. Oh, and we can... These are things that we can productivity module, actually. Because we don't... Because they're not all of this stuff. So if we just get... If we just get you in with your ice melting recipe, and then a beacon, and another one of you. So you get productivity modules, you get speed modules, you get the settings pasted. So those should be on their way here. The modules should be on their way up, and then we can deal with that. And we have plenty of power, in all likelihood. So that should be all a-okay. I just want to see these modules show up so I know what numbers I'm dealing with here exactly. And let's get another speed beacon there and there. Just for consistency. Alright, so the speed beacons are here. And now these two machines on their own would be enough for this one thing that we're doing. But we are going to need more water for the... what's it called? The coal production. I don't see it in there. So these are 62.3. Then they get those, and they actually go up a little bit because of the productivity boost, which is cool. Alright, yeah, let's just add a couple more of these guys onto the edges. And paste settings. And get modules. And then this should hopefully be enough water for everything that we do. So we merge up that and bring you over this way, where you eventually make your way into that. No, not that pipe. You make your way into this pipe. That's the steam pipe. This is the water pipe. Must not get those two confused. Okay, so now if we have what, 2.5, so like 10-ish ice cubes, can feed all of that. I do want to know, what does the coal synthesis recipe use in terms of water? Like 5 each? Okay, so we might need... No, this should be fine, right? I mean, this should be fine. Unless we use a whole lot of explosives. Then, if we use a lot of explosives, then we might be in trouble. But this should be fine. So, this is like 160 water consumption, right? So this is 70 plus 70 is like 140-ish. So this already puts us at 190, which is 30 more. So we have like 80 spare water. So we can run like 5 or more coal per second with productivity modules. It'll be even better. So yes, this is definitely going to be enough water for everything we need. Okay, we should also add... So these groups... None of those groups need to be a thing. We should add in a group for nuclear fuel. Just the world's most simple group ever. Just have a couple uranium fuel cells to spare. And... Okay, we actually wanted this to be disabled at first, just so that it doesn't actually use them. That would be nice, because this will just turn on and burn uranium fuel cells for no value while we're just sitting here. Alright, anyways, so that is that. Then, our next step is getting the ice cubes into this. So, where exactly is our resource belt? The resource belt has to get down to here and then loop around a bit, and then it's going to wind up back up this way. Alright, so let's take this underground belt. Actually, hang on. What if we take the main belt, bring it down here, and then over through this area? That could work. Alright, so we get this going down. Actually, we don't need to bring the asteroid chunks over here. We just need to bring the ice cubes over here. Although conceivably bringing the asteroid chunks would be easier. But we've sort of painted ourselves into a bit of a corner with all of this stuff, just in terms of the spacing. So we can, however, move this heat pipe up a bit. So if that heat pipe is something like that instead, then we should have enough room for this belt to come in this way and then go up through that and then go down through that, and then this goes in like that, and we have something. So then this loops in to that with input priority right to take the recycled chunks first. Okay, so then this belt is going to need to, first we're going to need to fill all that in, and then this belt just sort of needs to squeeze down this way to get out of the way of the nuclear stuff. And then all those asteroids can go up, and that'll be that. So then we'll have a good solid asteroid loop going. And there we go. So now that is in. I guess we'll have to see if it works properly. We only have this one way of destroying the asteroids, but hopefully that'll be enough. Alright, so now that we have the asteroid loop with preferential outputs to these guys. So let's see, this... Okay, this is weird, and I don't know why it's like that. You go in like that. Alright, so now those all go through properly. And I guess we'll be able to see if this loop disposes of the asteroids successfully. We have this recycling system, which I don't know if it'll work or not, but like, it might, right? So that is that. And hopefully we'll provide a good enough chunk of asteroids to everything. Now we need to take this loop and gain access to it for the water production, for the iron production for ammunition, and for the coal production. So we need this loop to... Okay, how about we use this space here? Okay, this giant chunk of solar panels we're not going to need because we're going to have nuclear power. So let's get rid of all of those guys. Give us plenty of space in here to work with. We've got our asteroid loop there. So now the question is, can we get ice up over to here? Like 10-ish ice all the way across that whole destination. And the answer should be yes. So we just get you in here. And you are going to be oxide asteroid crushing. So you make 3.75 as an individual machine. Then we get... How many of these are we going to need? We're going to need a couple, like 3 or 4. Yeah, I think we'll need 3. Okay, so we go 1. Actually, we have an even better way of doing this. We can have these go like that and be oxide asteroid crushing. So now they can output into this belt, which is already designed for that purpose. So that is those chunks. go out that way. And then the ice can come out here. And then we'll figure something out with it. So it gets its outputs like that. And its inputs like that. So now this belt has to reach all the way over this way, and that's messed it all up. Very cool. So you go like that. You go under like that. I don't think we got any weird stuff on that belt. Alright, so we need this carbon belt to squeeze in a little bit. So you just need to go like that to leave a tiny bit of room for this to get through. Alright, so you then just loop down to here and then up past all those machines, who will then get fed and provide water. So these guys now are all starting to get water. Need more belts delivered, which should not take very long at all. Alright, so that is the water setup done. So now theoretically, once those belts get placed in, we should be able to just run the nuclear power plant. And how's power doing? Production, we've got plenty of solar panels for now to keep up with all of those. Alright, so that all goes in. And now we have a whole bunch of water getting produced, which is mostly just filling these guys still. And now we have excess water. So that is all good. So, yeah, let's get this nuclear power plant booted up, shall we? Now that it's theoretically should be functional. And the amount that just 2 reactors drain should be incredibly minimal. So that's going now. And good. It's going to take a while to heat up, obviously, and in the meantime, we need to think about ammo production. So the ammo production needs to get, like, up here-ish, but it's not terribly difficult to get that far. Just because we have a good amount of space around the left side if we need to. But I want to use this space in here for the ammo production. So, step 1 is... I guess, do we work forwards or backwards? If we work backwards, it'll be better at getting us the amounts that we need. So, assembly machine, military. Oh, we've unlocked these things since I last checked. That's fun. So we need explosive rockets. And how many of these do you think we're going to need? Probably a lot. So we're probably going to need this. I assume these guys can't be productivity moduled. No, they cannot. Okay, then using beacons doesn't really make sense. We'll just have a bunch of these guys in. Like this. So these 2 machines make like 1 per second. Let's just like add another one on top of that. Hopefully this isn't like insane overkill. I guess we'll figure out once we're building this stuff to actually do this. Oh, we haven't been doing research. Let's add, I don't know, asteroid productivity. I do love it when my asteroids are productive. Let's just add that on. It'll take absolutely ages to accomplish anything, which is good because it means I won't have to think about it for a while. So for all of this to run, we're going to need like 3 explosives per second and about 1.5 regular rockets per second. So if we get some regular rockets set up. These produce... Okay, so they should be producing faster than these, right? Yes. So we just need like 2 of these setups. And how much damage do these guys do? Regular rocket is 200 plus 560. Do we even need explosive rockets if these are already doing explosion damage? We could get a lot more efficient by just using regular rockets, potentially. That's 200 plus 560 explosion. This is a lot less damage, but in AoE... Yeah, okay, let's actually just do regular rockets. I think they should be fine, although we can check. So, big metallic asteroid. You have 10% explosion resistance and 2,000 base health. So, with 2,000 base health and these guys doing 560 explosion, which will round down to like 500. That's like 4 rockets per shot. But I think the rocket turrets actually get their own individual upgrade to that damage. So let's check. Let's see, Gleba is the place where we have rocket turrets actively set up. Okay, no, these don't do that. They get upgraded with better shooting speed. Alright, so yeah, it'll be like 4 rockets per thing, which means we're probably going to need quite a few of these. So let's just have 4 of them with speed modules, unless the requirements for those get completely crazy, in which case we'll give up and go back down to 2. But so this will require like 4 explosives and like 8 iron plates. So the iron plates should be trivial. The explosives might not be. Those are those made in a chemical plant? Yes, they are. So you make 0.5 explosives. So let's get you productivity moduled and get some speed beacons into you. Although those speed beacons will reach up to these and cause them to be slightly weird. So let's move those up a little bit so that they're not affected. So this is already like half the explosive demand done. So if we just do something like that and then get all the beacons in. So this is 1.7 plus 1.7 plus 1.3, which should be plenty of explosives. Which means that we need somewhere in the ballpark of... Okay, let's just make these all the same speed just for consistency's sake. So we need somewhere in the ballpark of 2-ish coal, 2-ish sulfur, and 20-ish water. So the water is fine. We can manage that easily enough. Just based off of the water pipes that we already have. Like this one over here, which actually it's going to make more sense for us to just connect that up back to there so that all of our water pipes are just interconnected. Technically that raises the risk of some weird thing happening and everything exploding all at once, but that probably won't happen. Probably won't happen. And then the reward we get for that is we can just pipe this over here and then just have our water pipe and have that be easy. Alright, so let's see here. We haven't quite figured out the exact spacing for these guys yet, so there's no point connecting them up really. We have a couple other steps to add in. So let's do that now. So the explosives, we need them to have access to all of these. Actually, if we just like stick the explosives in here-ish and just have them go all the way around, that's an option. Or the rockets. So we could do that. So that would mean that this final production step is like way down here. Let's say it's like in this general ballpark. We need to leave that gap there, which is actually a bit annoying because it's going to cause problems with getting like these last two by the engines fueled up. Let's say you go there, and then you are going to output. You're going to output a belt, which can be connected up. And apparently we need another delivery of foundations. Alright, so this outputs the rockets to there. And then we're going to have to figure out how... Okay, here's actually a tricky part which I hadn't considered until just now. We need to have rockets and ammunition on one belt so that the asteroids can go on the other and we don't break anything. So you need to get down onto this belt, basically. Okay, and I think it'll be a little bit easier in terms of the spacing if we just go over this way and connect you down into here. The rocket turret range is, like, pretty good. I don't know the exact numbers, but we can pop one in and see. It should have plenty of coverage. Where are you? There you are. So yeah, we shouldn't need more than a couple unless the problem is the rate of fire, which could be an issue technically. So if we just have them spaced out like this, then they should mostly cover everything. Like this should be all set up. So we have something like that and something like that. Then you take your supplies from there, and then this belt needs to get into here and supply both of them. So we need you to do something like that, then go underground, then like wrap around. Oh, that's because that's why that was weird, because that was facing wrong. Then you wrap around like that. Okay, so that's actually a problem because it means that this output doesn't work. It's a minor issue. So we just need to fill in all of this space. We fill in all of this space, and then that vent up north has to be moved slightly to just output off the front. So you just go like up here, over to there, and a little bit through that. And this is technically marginally hazardous to just have this belt going out here. Yeah, actually, I don't like that. That could cause problems. So instead, you are going to run out this way, I think. And the side of this area should be safer for you to dump stuff off of. So you then just do this whole awkward process and go over to there, and Then we get something like that. And our inserters to dump stuff off the sides. So that should be fine. That should be all good. And then we just have to wait for this whole giant thing to get built, like one foundation at a time, basically. So then that goes over to here. So that goes into there. This output, though, needs to also do something weird and kind of cursed. So you need to come down to here. Okay, actually, this is just not a good spacing for this, I guess. So let's move this out and figure out what is a good spacing for it. So we need, like, there. And why are you facing a weird way? So you can then wrap around like that and go in. And then you wrap around like that and go in. And then this entire belt needs to then, I have to click it the right amount of times. This entire belt needs to run the other way around. So all the way out to here. And then instead of this being a spot where it gets inserted, you just go directly across to there. Alright, I think I broke something. No, this works properly. That's fine. This chunk of belting doesn't need to exist. Okay. So, this is all in. I apparently missed one spot there. It's so hard to tell when you have things like this, which are just like part of the texture, and then things like this, which are not part of the texture, and that they look basically the same. Alright, so that is in. And now we just need this to connect up to both of those. Like that. And then our rocket's belt goes into there. Alright, so that is in. Now we need to get our belt with iron and explosives. So those two go along like that. And neither of these should be a huge issue in terms of inputs, so you just get your inputs. I guess we'll give you... No, we don't even need to give you two long-handled inputs. It should be fine. So that is all in to there. And that should make us our rockets. Now we need to get our explosives belt in. So these, we're going to want them to face downwards and output to this way, I guess. And, okay, we can just shift these over so that they're more space efficient. If you just go in like that, then this belt wraps around to there and goes through that. So then our explosives output like so. Losing a couple of stuff back on Novice, probably not an issue. Okay, so then these get their two inputs, which are coal and sulfur and water. So you get one belt, two belt, and then all of these get connected up. Water gets sent across. Those don't need to exist anymore. So then that connects up. All these guys should have their water now. And we just need to get iron into this and coal and sulfur into this. So the coal is the next thing, which is like an intermediate thing that we have to craft. So let's yoink one of these guys and see what that takes. So you are doing coal synthesis. That is carbon, sulfur, and a little bit of water. And we are going to need probably just... Actually, if we just like copy paste this line and just make it coal instead of explosives, that genuinely might work. And all the rest of this setup is the same. So let's get these belts input like that. And then we can copy paste that whole thing. Then you can go, let's see here. You can go like here, I guess. We need to not run into any of these other things, but actually that shouldn't be a concern because these belts are going to be removed. So that goes away. Then this gets built in. Just something like that should be fine. And then all of this stuff gets dismantled. Oh wait, no, that doesn't work because we need our water inputs. So then we paste you, and you just need to be a little bit further over, like here. So that gets pasted in. All that stuff gets disconnected. And now these become coal synthesis. It's pasted across. And, okay, wow, we do not need all of these then. So we can theoretically just run all of this off of one machine with, like, probably just a third set of speed modules. But let's just remove that machine and leave this as is. It's probably not going to hurt to have a little bit of extra production capacity in case it's needed. Okay, so then this output belt, instead of doing that, most of this can go away. And then what's remaining loops around into that. Alright, so this produces our coal, and that goes there. So then we need sulfur into this, and it also needs water. Actually, can I just have you rotated down like that, and then just attach into this existing water pipe? Like that. And a little bit of space, because we're going to need to do some adjusting there. Like that. Yes, that does work. So we don't need those random underground pipes. So the only thing this needs is sulfur. This needs its iron. This needs its sulfur and carbon. Okay, so let's do the iron next, and while we're at it, get the basic ammunition production in as well. So we're going to leave a bit of a gap. Actually, we might just do the basic ammo production over here for organization purposes. Combat firearm magazine. So you get iron plates in, and you put firearm magazines out. Then, okay, this needs to be moved up slightly, so we have space to do some stuff. So this is going to output to the far side of the belt, which means that when this goes down, it'll be on the left side of this. So we need these to output to the right side of the belt. So if we just have you go in like that, it should be free. Like you just go into there. Alright, that should be pretty straightforward, actually. And then let's give them speed modules so that they can go super fast if they need to. Alright. Then we need to run this iron belt. We need to run iron plates to both of these locations. So let's get an iron belt along here, which then goes down to there and across into the rockets. So then we need a foundry. And the foundry will be casting the iron plates. And you are going to want productivity modules and a couple of speed beacons. Bam, bam. And you are still not terribly fast. At least not fast enough to keep up with this insane demand. I wonder if we need to have the rockets be first priority over the firearm magazines. We might need to do something like that. Or we can just like have a second foundry, obviously. That's also an option. So that is all set up. Speed modules are on their way. So this is a total of 24-ish iron plates output, which is not quite enough to run even 2 of these continually, but would be enough to run all of our rocket turrets. So, hopefully, I mean, this is definitely going to just back up, right? There's no way we use that many firearm magazines at any given time. So these can transport 16 items per rotation at more than 2 rotations per second. So 1 stack inserter each should be more than enough. And okay, and this one is past these, which should, I mean, it might cause problems actually. It might cause problems to have this be the only one, which I guess we can just brute force that with some speed modules. So this foundry is going to be feeding these. This foundry is going to be feeding those. And then hopefully it all works out. How is power going, by the way? The steam turbines are registered as working. And production is 157 megawatts, which obviously we're not using anywhere near that right now. Although it'll spike up once like these foundries and everything start being used, which should be fine. Okay, so then these guys are also going to need stack inserters. I guess we can, if we do it this way, then this can get passed just directly across. And then if we just have like a random bulk inserter there, so that some of it will go through here no matter what, that should actually be like mildly clever. Alright, so then these two, they just need to be connected up to a source of molten iron, which is obviously just going to be another one of these guys. And you are going to be iron ore melting. And even just like at pure base capacity, you are perfectly capable of doing that. And with productivity modules in, it's even better. So now we need to add the iron ore and calcite into these, which will be a future step, I think. So this needs sulfur, which comes directly off of a crusher. This needs iron ore and calcite, which come directly off of crushers. This needs sulfur and carbon, which come directly off of crushers. Which means we are at the point where it is time to start doing that. So let's take some of those solar panels out, just so that we have even more space to deal with all this stuff. So how much carbon do we need? We need like 12-ish carbon to feed those guys and none for all the rest of those. So we get a crusher in, and you are just going to do base carbon recipe. Yeah. Let's get 2 of these. Actually, if we just have one of you with productivity modules and a speed beacon. So you are now producing 18 carbon, which is enough to run both of those, which is enough to run everything we need carbon for. So that's pretty cool. Then we need a little bit of calcite. Just 0.31, right? And we don't need ice or anything. The water is already pre-set up. So you are going to go, and you are also seeing that beacon. I guess I'll productivity module you, and you're going to need to dump the ice out somewhere. But the calcite, which is your main output, just goes directly down there. That's the ice output. The calcite goes down and into that. And then the ice is just gonna get dumped. Is there any easy way to get it like over there, or are we just gonna have another dump off the side here? It's gonna be just another dump off the side here. So there you go. And that should basically be all we need. And now we just need to get the settings in. So you get calcite that way, ice cubes that way. The carbon needs to send its stuff out just directly over this way, which might need a bulk inserter for. So you are filtered to be carbon only. So carbon goes out that way, calcite goes that way, ice goes that way. Then they feed from these belts, and then they output only the asteroid chunks. So that goes out that way. And this, we're going to have to move this belt around a little bit to have it work better. Let's have you go like all the way out to there. And then loop back in like that. And then we have this belt, which goes up like that, loops in, not like that. That would be a dumb way of doing it. You loop in like this with input priority left, so that we always get these guys out onto the thing, and you didn't get filtered correctly. Alright, so there is some amount of random junk flying around the belt now, just like a couple random bits of calcite. And okay, we're just gonna have to, if we just run that belt off, go output priority left, filter calcite, and then so here we don't have, none of those are the problem, so we just do that and it should catch it. And we can do that as well. So unless there's probably also like an ice cube on this belt somewhere, which I guess we will also filter for. So those filters should get any of that unwanted stuff off of this belt once it makes its way around. Okay, so then the next thing we need is the sulfur. And we need 2.6 sulfur plus another 1 point plus like another 2 sulfur. So we need like 4, 5-ish sulfur. And how much does one of you produce? 0.6. Alright, not fantastic, not terrible either. Okay, so we're gonna need to get those in, I guess, up here. This is where we have room for them at the moment. Not that one, though. And these are going to be properly speed moduled and everything. So you get speed modules there. You get those. And productivity modules. And paste that across. Alright, I don't see anything coming off of this, so it must have either gotten stuck somewhere else or just didn't exist at all. So we can just take that apart and then run this belt back in. So first of all, you get these as your outputs to filter the carbonic chunks back. So we do that. And now that that is in, you can also just accept some carbonic chunks from there. And you make carbon and sulfur. You actually make quite a bit of carbon. So we want this carbon output to be used and prioritized over the other one because we need it to make the sulfur anyways. Alright, so we get you and you. This close output is going to be the carbon one. And that belt is going to have to get deleted and rebuilt. Then we get the distant output, which is filtered to be sulfur and sulfur. And then this belt is going to have to be deleted and rebuilt. Alright, so now that both of those belts exist, how much carbon is this? This is like 3, it's like 3 sulfur. So let's get another couple of speed modules on there to make that number go up a little bit. So now this is like 4 sulfur, which, so this is 2.6, this is 2, but we don't, do we actually need all of that coal? So this is 2 coal requirements. So we don't need all of that coal, so this should actually be enough in theory. So we just need to bring these down a little bit. So you go down like that. You go down like that. This belt is gonna have to move a little bit. Or maybe this belt can move. Yeah, okay, this belt doesn't need to go all the way out to there. You can just go up like that. And then all of this stuff goes out, and that gives us plenty of space to work with in here. So we have this belt come down here, go across that, and then loop up and into there. And we're going to have that continue along for like one more, and then be input priority left. So the carbon is attached up. Now we need the sulfur to get attached up, which is going to be a little bit tricky because we're sort of running out of room in here. But we have you go down to there. you can come up to here. That can go away. This still produces 0.47, which is still enough calcite, so we don't need that. And then you go into there. Alright, then that sulfur just goes along and into all that stuff. So once these belts get delivered, which should be no problem at all, still got plenty of those. Once those belts get delivered, we'll have sulfur going into this, and then from there I believe the iron ore will be the only thing missing. And boy, are we starting to run out of room for that, so yikes. Alright, so the sulfur goes through. Now we can make coal, and then we'll be able to start making some explosives as well. So this is all getting set up. And there we go. All of those have their first little batch of explosives. And because this side is prioritized and this is not enough coal to run all of these, it should be okay, but we'll have to monitor it. We might need to change this so that the coal has a way of getting out, or the carbon does, rather. And that's actually very simple, right? So we just go you output priority right, and then that just goes on to there. So we already have this output here for getting rid of the extra ice, so we can do that. And now the extra carbon, if it exists, is removed. And if extra sulfur somehow backs up all of this, then this carbon machine can run. Although it isn't enough to do the entire thing. Let's just get this speed beacon in there just to be sure. So now we can always run both no matter what, and we already have a nice solid backlog of explosives. Okay, so 15.7 iron ore. How do we get 15.7 iron ore? It's literally one of these with like a speed module, basically. So we can get that down this way. Alright, so you copy pasted, set to metallic crushing, and you get an output which is set to be metallic asteroid chunks, and then you get an input which is just going to take whatever. Okay, now we have all that. We have an output here which is going to be filtered to iron ore, and we have all the rest of the stuff filtered properly, right? Yes, we do. Alright, so then this goes down to here somewhere. It sneaks through this tiny little gap by the edge, and it goes all the way down to here. And then into there, where it gets provided into that. And a bulk inserter is 12 per rotation, more than one rotation per second. So that should be good enough. And this is output full because this hasn't been attached in properly, so we just do that. And then we can actually use this existing. So input priority left. You go into there. And we should be good. Although we're certainly going to need a bulk inserter on that one. Alright, so now we have ammunition going out. So that is this entire system built. And the only thing we are waiting on is the ammunition to trickle through. And also, we need to get all of these rocket turrets in. So we're just gonna keep doing that like this. So we have one of these in every one of these gaps. And some of them are a bit dicey on the corners, but it should be fine. Alright. So each of these guys gets a rocket turret. And we just get a couple more in. And I can't imagine like this stuff back here really desperately needs the rocket turrets. But you never know, right? Okay, these are facing backwards. So let's get them facing the right way. And then we're going to need to configure them for targeting purposes so that we don't shoot them away at all the tiny little rocks that go through. And also so we don't waste ammunition from the gun turrets on the big rocks that the rocket turrets should be dealing with. So, rocket turret target priorities are going to be big, 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 and I guess I'll also give you huge, although I don't think those exist here, and ignore unlisted targets. So we just set that across to all of these guys. And then we should be getting set up. So I have to select all of the rocket turrets and none of the non-rocket turrets. Okay, then we have to go to these, and target priorities are going to be small and mediums, small and mediums, small and mediums, and so this can then be also set to ignore unlisted targets, and so we paste all of these guys across, and hopefully that should be good. And now we just have to hope I haven't messed up and missed anything important. Like if there's a gap in the coverage for any of this stuff, then it could be pretty bad. If a big asteroid happens to hit in an area where there's no rocket launcher coverage. I'm fairly confident that we have total gun turret coverage just because there are a bunch of them around. But you can never be 100% sure. Alright, so these are item ingredient short, because these are fluid short, because these guys are not getting any calcite. And they're not getting any calcite, because this isn't getting any ice chunks. And the reason that's not getting any ice chunks is probably just mostly because of bad luck. We finished asteroid productivity. Very nice. And we can do stronger explosives. That will help us out a lot in terms of hopefully using fewer of these. Okay, we need to fill in some of these gaps where it's not legal to build things, like there and there. Alright, where else? I was just thinking of those spots. So we should be all built up now. Alright, where is the calcite? Why is it not? So all the ice cubes are going into these and then just getting dumped out the airlock. That's not ideal. That's not ideal at all. So how do we make sure that that doesn't happen? We need... Okay, we need this to only run if there's enough space. So you... Actually, we probably need more complex logic for this. because we need to check 2 separate things, which means we need a decider combinator. So decider goes in, it connects up to the calcite and the ice we can reach. There we go. So this is set to read belt contents, hold all belts. Read belt contents, hold all belts. Okay, so once this gets attached in, we are going to then connect it up to those guys. And once the decider combinator shows up, which it is on its way, then it should be able to read how much calcite and ice are on each of these. So let's start getting those set up. So we need to find ice cubes, and we need to find calcite. Why am I so bad at finding calcite? There it is. So if calcite is greater than 0 or ice is greater than 0, but we don't want those to be 0, we want those to be like 400 for ice and 100, yeah, probably just 100 for calcite. Then you output a 1 as a check mark, which you're currently doing. Actually, no, we want this to be a deny signal because it means don't run. So then these guys are enable disable on deny signal equals 0. And you are the same. Deny signal equals 0 means you're disabled. So if either of these are true... No, wait, this is the opposite of what we want to do, right? So we need to set these to less than, and this to be a check signal for consistency. And you are check signal equals, not that, check signal equals 1. And you are check signal equals 1. So now you're disabled because there's stuff here. So if either of these dips too low, then this will give a check signal, activate these guys, and then they can start taking the ice cubes and running with them. Otherwise, they won't. And so now we can get oxide asteroids to fill those up, and then eventually they'll get through to here. Okay, we seem to have used some uranium fuel cells during this entire expedition, but actual power demand is very low. So yeah, when the foundries are running, it's like 40 off of them alone. So it's definitely going to be useful to have all this nuclear power, even if it is extremely overkill. Now, let's see. If we only had one nuclear power plant in here, so this would be 40 megawatts of heat instead of the 160 that we have. So that would then be, I mean, this is 409 steam, which probably works out to like 40 megawatts of power, which is certainly not enough. So we do actually just need the 2, even if it is extreme overkill. All right, so these ice producers are almost all backed up. And can we get productivity modules in here so that these guys aren't as bad? How much ice do we need? This is 4, 8, 12 ice. So we might need speed modules if we do that, but sure. We should be able to fit some speed modules in here. So you get a beacon with speed modules. So those are now going to be extra fast. Then, so this iron production is way overkill, right? So this is 16 and it only needs like less than 1. This carbon production is 8 and it also needs less than 1. So it's these two. So this is almost but not quite 2 ice cubes. This needs 2 ice cubes to make 40 water. And we need... Hang on, how does this math even work? This is not enough water, is it? I guess technically these don't maybe run at full capacity? I don't know. So this is 300, right, so this is 360 and these are producing more than that. So it should work out. It'll probably work out. We might even be able to, because these are producing well more than these consume, we can actually prod mod these guys and make them even more efficient, which should help that a little bit. So now that's less water usage. And can we squeeze one of you into here? Yes. So we can get one of you speed moduled up, which means you can also be productivity moduled. And that should be plenty of that to make sure that the engines can run perfectly well. Now we just need one dang oxide asteroid to make it down here, and that should basically fuel this calcite for days. So we're almost through. Yes, we have some oxide asteroids getting through. So now this can provide us our calcite. And that should get this running like crazy. So now this is up and running again. Also about to hit stronger explosives, potentially. If we don't... Okay. I think we've just completely crashed out like 30 science progress before we finished, which is fantastic. But now this has enough calcite to run for a while. And these guys are working at full speed, causing all this to go. And the regular ammunition is already all set. And, okay, the capacity of this belt doesn't matter, like, at all. Even if we were using all of it fully, it would barely be enough to run these, but we're definitely not. So yeah, it's fine. So now, this very short segment is full of rockets. Now we just need to get this much longer segment, which is gonna take a while. So we haven't even gotten rockets into all of these yet. But now we're producing them relatively quickly, so that should be doable. I still have no idea if this amount of rocket supply will even be enough, but I guess that's what we're going to find out. And if it isn't, then I will just be sad about it. But, I mean... it should be fine, right? It should be fine. I'm not worried at all. I'm actually extremely worried. But hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's good. The rockets do a lot of damage, and they're about to get upgraded again to do even more. And they're also not handling all of the asteroids across the entire thing. That's what these guys are for. So hopefully it all works out, and we can just be good to go. But yeah, so the rockets are going through. That should fill up. It's actually going to fill up pretty quickly, it looks like, which is quite promising for this. So I think it's about the normal time when we wrap up the stream. So let's go back to Novice and just check how our quality has been going in the background. We've got 16 epic productivity modules. That is pretty great. So we've got 16 of those to spare. We've got 22 of these to spare. And we're just waiting on the copper wires. Okay, while we have these to spare, we may as well upgrade more green circuit production to be more efficient, because the copper wire is the main limiting factor at this point. That's pretty clear. So we set that in, and the iron plate's also not doing too hot. So yeah, I think next stream we're probably just going to be heading to Aquilo. How do you pronounce that, by the way? Aquilo? Aquilo? A couple different ways. I'm probably just going to keep alternating between them until someone tells me, but it also probably doesn't matter. So yeah, our next stream will be on Monday, where we do that. So make sure to stop by then if you're interested. Otherwise, we will be doing Satisfactory on Tuesday, where we are finally getting started working on neural quantum processors, which is hype. So that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I will see you guys next time. And make sure to follow if you haven't already. Thanks for hanging out.